I've got a bunch of space games I want to talk about with you today, and this video is going to be a little bit different to my regular upcoming space game videos, because rather than just letting you know what space games are coming next year, I'm going to let you know this time what games I'm really looking forward to. These are my most anticipated ones. Some of them are ones I'm very, very keen to try out, really looking forward to the release of them. Other ones, I just think they're going to be a lot of fun to play, even if in short bursts. So I'm going to let you know the the 6 titles up front, and then we're going to talk about them. So we've got Error 1, Reality Break, The Alters, Verse Project, and Remnant Protocol. So let's start with Verse Project. Now, somewhat ironically, this is the one I know the least about, and I say ironically because I only found out about it a little while ago, and there is a technical demo available for it. So yeah, if you want to try it out, do check out the link in the video description where you can download this technical demo and give it a try. Although the developers do say that the technical demo may be quite different to the final thing. So that means, for the moment, I'm relying on what little we know publicly, and the short clips of video that we have that, unfortunately, I'm playing on a loop right here. At any rate, aesthetic-wise, Verse Universe does look very appealing to me, and it does have the type of gameplay, from what I can read here, that I'm very much going to enjoy. So what is it all about? Well, Verse Project does have a replica of the solar system, and this is at a 1-to-1 scale, and this ensures that every planet, every moon and asteroid field all follow their actual orbits and proportions. So it's a level of accuracy that really should be quite authentic, and we don't see it in all that many games. Also, this is a multiplayer game, and it's a unified game world. So unlike many traditional multiplayer games that use separate servers or divided realms, Verse Project does put everyone together into the same seamless environment. There's also what the developers are calling full-on immersion here without loading screens, so that means you can experience exploring with instantaneous transitions between the different celestial locations, such as planets, space stations, and the ships themselves. So yeah, that means no loading screens, which is always very, very nice, isn't it? So yeah, in terms of gameplay, I think you'll probably already guess why I'm quite keen on this one. That, of course, is what appears to be realistic space exploration, the ability to navigate around the solar system with accurate planet sizes and orbits, something that's really nice, something we've seen in Elite Dangerous but not too many other games. In terms of other parts of the game, it appears that there's going to be a global community within the game where alliances should be forming with wars, trade, and overall giving influence to players over the economy and the political landscape. It's something we've heard before from larger scale games, but yeah, if done right, I think on a game of this scale, this could be pretty interesting. It's something I'm pretty keen to see. And that's not necessarily because I'm the type of person that likes to directly engage with all of that stuff, but rather because I think those of you who have watched the channel for long enough will know I'm very much a lone wolf player, and I love to dive into these unknown worlds with all of that stuff going on as the backdrop. It just makes for such a lively and living environment. And that especially works for me, considering it also looks like there's going to be events within the game, not to mention missions as well. In short, one of my ideal ideas of a space game is to have a living, breathing environment in which I can go on my space adventures. And yeah, I'm kind of hoping that Verse Project is going to be able to answer that at least a little bit. Okay, moving on, we come to Remnant Protocol. Now, this is something I have spoken about before. I did talk about it in the Best of 2025 video, but I'll mention it a bit again here. And one of the reasons I find this game quite appealing is, firstly, because of the similar reasons to what we said about Verse Project, although in this case it's a single-player game, a single-player space flight simulator that's got some depth and strategy to it as well. So here, players command a galactic rebellion which is taking place against an oppressive empire. Now, it looks like there's going to be a lot of dogfighting in this, and we can see that in the footage that's on screen, and these environments and the cockpits of the ships all look pretty nice as well. Very old school in many ways. They take me back to the kind of aesthetic I remember from the Free Space days. Although in this case, they're certainly quite a bit more up to date. So it looks like the game does have a heavy narrative here. Again, a little bit like those old school combat space sims, with a focus here on guerrilla warfare. We can also expect to see some resource management going on here, with the requirement to allocate limited resources and personnel across various different operations, research, ship constructions, espionage, and recruitment. So yeah, pretty interesting looking game here, especially with the old school looking aesthetics that have all been brought up to date in quite a modern way. Quite looking forward to trying this. Now, there's no specific release window for this one, but the release date is 2025. Next up, we come to a somewhat different genre, but still very much focusing on spaceships. It's called Era 1, and it's a space-themed RTS that not only has spaceships, but also allows for extensive customization of ships and the bases as well. Now, the game itself is set against the trope of humanity's survival and exploration beyond the depleted Earth. The game is single-player. It also has a multiplayer online PvP component as well. So this title also has a pretty nice aesthetic. I do like the ship designs here. I'm not sure everyone's going to be a big fan of them, but personally speaking, I do like them, and well, let me know what you think about them. The UI itself also looks very involved here. Looks like there's a heck of a lot of stuff that players can jump in and interact with. I'm not entirely sure, but there's a vibe here about this game that really reminds me of Hegemonia. And like I say, I'm not quite sure why that is, because the aesthetics here are generally pretty different, as is the UI, but I don't know, there's just something about it. So yeah, expect to see a whole variety of spaceships here, the ability to customize spaceships and bases, resource management, defensive structures, and a variety of different strategies to get involved in, and of course research along various different technological pathways. Now, I don't play an abundance of RTS games, but I do like compelling space ones, so really curious to try this one out. The release date is currently set for the 20th of February 2025, so we can expect to see this in around about 2 months. Now, Reality Break is one of those games that I mentioned early on that I feel is going to be a lot of fun to play. Now, there is a demo available for this one, and I highly recommend you check it out. You've got a bit of footage on screen right here of me playing it a while ago. Now, like I say, this is an action RPG, and I think there's going to be some depth to here that is really belied by the presentation of the game. It may not look that deep, it may just look like a regular shooter here, and I think that's not entirely the case. There's a lot more going on. The main idea behind the game is the ability to rewrite history. You can use the rewrite mechanic to change items, mission parameters, difficulty levels, and more. It's a flexibility that really does offer some depth, but I think really it's going to require some balance in here, and I hope they successfully pull this off. But the demo does seem to show that. So resetting timelines creates ripple effects in the game world, and this rewards players with reality points, and these points can be allocated to talents that significantly impact both the current and future playthroughs. It sounds a little bit like a roguelike in principle, but deeply woven into the game itself. And to be perfectly clear here, this isn't a full-on roguelike. Instead, the developers class it as an opt-in roguelite. Like all good RPGs, there's a really deep talent system here, and there's also consequences to your actions within the game. So using, as you might expect, reality-altering powers does have a knock-on effect within the game. So, Reality Break, nice name there actually for a game that's about breaking reality or changing reality, is set to release in the first quarter of 2025, so do check out that link in the video description. And finally, we come to The Alters. Now, this one isn't traditionally what you'd call a space game. It's set on a planet, not up in space, but I'm going to include this because, well, it does have a very heavy sci-fi theme to it. Not only that, this is pretty much my most anticipated game for 2025. Well, this and Exodus, although I'm not going to talk about Exodus today. We'll leave that for another video. Now, I did play the demo of Alters a few months back. I'll link that video in the video description below. Do have a look at it. But there's something what I feel very, very special about this. There's a nice world design, some really great aesthetics and graphics going on, but more to the point is the story, but also the way that story has been told. Not only through the gameplay, which is very heavily embedded into that story, but also, well, the writing of the story. So essentially, you found yourself lost and stranded on this rather hostile-looking planet. You do have a home base, which you can grow and expand, and more importantly, this is a mobile base. Over time, it can move across the planet, and with good reason, because the planet is kind of being destroyed behind you, and you need to keep ahead of that destruction. The unique twist here though to this game is in the title. It's called The Alters, and the reason for that is because the various different characters within the game are all alternative versions of the main character, the initial person that you play. So yeah, essentially the player here generates a clone of themselves, and they come from what can only be described as a branch in the timeline. Not a physical branch in the timeline, but kind of a what if different events played out in different ways. What emotional impact would that have had on the person? What sort of person would they have become? So each clone has different capabilities and different personalities based on events from the past being changed, kind of altering the memories on the fly. So again, I'm not going to go into too much detail on it right here because I have spoken about this one recently. It is pretty much my most anticipated game of 2025, so do check out that video. I'm going to link it on the screen right here. Thanks for watching this video all the way through. Let me know what games you're looking forward to next year. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.